Lower rainfall leads to smaller harvests and scarcity of raw materials.
Also, high temperatures are leading to fast depletion of limited oxygen supply in water bodies, which is negatively affecting fisheries.
I'm still on those physiological changes. What are those?
Climate change also leads to increase in ground level ozone, which affects crop yields.
Hey, welcome back to the Rainbow Climate Change podcast, hosted by your environment prefects Philip and.
Malikia, this week we'll talk about agriculture. Agriculture accounts for 40% of East Africa's GDP, and about 80% of East Africans make their living from agriculture. Needless to say, this is a vital aspect of life in our region.
As for the definition, agriculture involves growing plants and/or raising animals to provide food and other products. Plants used in agriculture are usually called crops, while animals are often referred to as livestock. The amount of useful stuff obtained from crops and livestock is called yield. As you might have guessed, agriculture is not spared from the effects of climate change.
How so?
An assessment by the East African Community noted that agriculture in our region depends on small-scale, rain-fed farms, which are vulnerable to changes in weather patterns and more frequent extreme weather events. If you want to learn more about how and why weather patterns are changing, we talked about this in an earlier episode, which you can watch right now by clicking the card showing on YouTube. Heavy rainfall and flooding, especially that caused by El Nino events, have disastrous effects such as erosion of topsoil, which is where plants get most of their nutrients, and leaching nutrients from the soil, while lower rainfall leads to smaller harvests and scarcity of raw materials.
Which crops and livestock are most affected?
Rising temperatures, which we spoke about in our first episode, will reduce maize, wheat, rice, soybean, millet, and sorghum yields. At 3 degrees of warming, the yield of potatoes in East Africa will decrease by 11 to 17%. Hotter conditions also lead to heat stress, water, and grass shortages, affecting sheep and cattle in hot, dry lowlands. In the water, higher temperatures lead to increased metabolism in fish and other water-dwelling organisms, so the limited oxygen in water bodies runs out more quickly, thus harming fisheries. Going back to crops, a particularly important crop in this region is tea. Small changes in temperature and rainfall would cause large areas of land that now support tea cultivation to be largely unusable. In Kenya alone, the ideal environment for tea production is expected to decrease by 27% when compared to the year 2000, with yields declining by 10% for global warming of 1.8 to 1.9 degrees Celsius. The ideal tea, coffee, and cocoa growing environments are expected to move upwards to higher altitudes. However, it is not exactly easy to. Okay, I'm so sorry. Right now, there's like a fly bothering us. It's. Okay, it's gone now. The ideal tea, coffee, and cocoa growing environments are expected to move upwards to higher altitudes. However, it's not exactly easy to move farming equipment and practices with them.
On livestock, there are negative impacts on fodder availability and quality availability of drinking water, direct heat stress, and prevalence of livestock diseases.
Further ability is also being impacted by woody plant encroachment, which is the increase in shrub and tree cover. Further quality is critical for animal health and weight gain, but is at risk from climate change as increases in temperature, higher carbon dioxide concentrations, and water stress have been shown to reduce dry matter digestibility and nitrogen content for certain types of grass, including other fodder crops such as lucerne and alfalfa.
Climate change has affected ecosystem services in Africa by reducing fish stocks, crop and livestock productivity, and water provision due to heat and drought. Also, high temperatures are leading to fast depletion of limited oxygen supply in water bodies, which is negatively affecting fisheries.
Why do higher temperatures lead to a faster depletion of the oxygen in water bodies?
Well, this is because high temperatures lead to a decrease in the solubility of oxygen in water. This is because when water temperatures increase, it causes the gas and water molecules to gain more energy, which in turn breaks the weak attractions between water and oxygen molecules, causing the oxygen to escape. Also, hot water dissolves fewer gases, and so gases are more likely to escape into the air at high water temperatures, and they are not dissolved in the water from the air so as quickly. Additionally, high temperatures are leading to fast depletion of oxygen supply in water bodies because Increases in the water's temperature are also linked to increased metabolic rate due to the molecules moving at a high kinetic energy, which affect the biochemical oxygen decay, which represents the amount of oxygen consumed by bacteria and other microorganisms while they decompose organic matter under aerobic, which is oxygen present conditions at a specific temperature, increasing photosynthesis and respiration of aquatic life.
Ooh, got any more effects of climate change up your sleeve?
Yes, due to climate change, sheep and cattle farmers in hot, dry lowlands may be impacted by forage and water shortages. Water shortages may lead to inadequate water intake by the sheep and cattle, resulting in a wide range of physiological responses which adversely affect animal health, reproductive efficiency, growth, and product quality, and sometimes may lead to death.
I'm still on those physiological changes. What are those?
Well, these are the emotional, cognitive, and behavioral reactions that individuals experience as a result of internal or external stimuli.
You've talked mainly about the effects of climate change on animals. What about the effects on crop production?
Well, although increases in temperature and carbon dioxide can increase some crop yields in some places, research has shown that it makes the crops more tasty for pests, and other factors like crop growth also need to be met in order for this to be the case. Also, changes in the frequency and severity of droughts and floods could pose challenges for farmers and ranchers and threaten food safety. Flooding, for example, can lead to soil erosion because soil that is already saturated will not allow any more water to infiltrate it, and so any rainfall on the soil surface will run off, carrying soil with the running water. Eroded soils often result in stunted growth and lower yields. On the other hand, severe droughts pose challenges to farmers and threaten food safety as it leads to low water supply, which will in turn result in crop death.
Malikia,
Yes?
how exactly does climate change cause changes in the frequency and severity of floods and droughts?
Well, firstly, flooding is a result of heavy rainfall, which is an extreme weather event caused by climate change. Heavy rainfall occurs due to greenhouse gases, which warm the planet, causing more water to evaporate from oceans and rivers into the atmosphere. Warmer air holds more water, and that can therefore result in heavier rainfall, which in turn results in flooding. Due to climate change, heavy rainfall is becoming more frequent in some areas and less frequent in other areas, and thus leading to changes in the frequency and severity of flooding. However, climate change also causes frequency and severity of droughts, as climate change has led to a decrease in the yearly snowfall, and so the mountain peaks don't have much snow to replenish the water in the rivers and lakes, which in turn results in less water to go around. Also, weather patterns like El Nino make matters worse by altering rain levels around the world. Check out episode 2 to find out more about El Nino events. Climate change also leads to increase in ground level ozone, which affects crop yields.
What is ozone? And how does this increase lead to crop yields being affected?
Ozone is a highly reactive gas composed of three oxygen atoms. Ozone high in the Earth's atmosphere protects us from the sun's harmful radiation, but ozone at ground level is harmful to both people and plants. Ozone is formed when pollutants emitted by motor vehicles and other human activities react with sunlight on hot summer days to form ground level ozone. It will lead to production losses for a variety of crops. Ground level ozone is also negatively impacting crop quality of important staple crops. Soybean, wheat, and rice are the most sensitive to ozone, with maize and barley being the moderately sensitive.
As always, now we're going to have a quick quiz so you can test yourself on how much you remember from today's episode. Feel free to pause the video, have a think, and then play to hear the next question. So, question one is: name three crops that are affected by climate change in East Africa. Name three crops that are affected by climate change in East Africa. Question two: what is expected to happen to the tea, coffee, and cocoa growing environments in our region, and why is it not exactly a good thing? What is expected to happen to the tea, coffee, and cocoa growing environments in our region, and why is that not exactly a good thing?
What is ozone? What is ozone? What are physiological changes? What are physiological changes? That's it. I hope you enjoyed listening to our podcast. Please give some comments and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.